There lies deep within you a truth, a knowing, a peace, a connection deep to something greater than you, greater than what this body limitation is. You are not this body, you are not this limited mind, you are not these thoughts that swim in your head. You are something far greater than that, and for too long they have told you otherwise. Now is the time for you to remember that you are far more than this limited identity. This identity, this name that has been given to you, this body that you inherited, these are simply aspects of this incarnation of you. Simply aspects. Do not confuse yourself for the body. Do not confuse yourself for the words that are on your identification card that a government, a system gave you in order to label you, in order to restrict you, in order to track you and know you and siphon energy from you. This is not who you are. Zoom out and release the limitations of the name, and you might see the body walking around in space, the actions that you perform, the behaviors that you engage in, and these are also not who you are. They could perhaps create a more accurate picture or definition of who it is that you are being, how you're existing in this moment, but it is not who you truly are. Behaviors can change, location can change, your skin, the cells in your body, the clothes that you wear, these things all change. But there is something greater than that, something more true, more authentic, more real, that never changes. Your astrology, your personality types, your archetypes that you carry in this existence, this incarnation will change as you go through life. You even carry other incarnations. You exist in multiple realms and multiple dimensions. So these things are certainly a more accurate picture of the you that you chose to come be in this moment, but it is still a limitation. It is still not your true and fullest self. It's time to tap back into that true, never-changing self, that core essence, that spark of God that you are. And there are so many mental patterns, cultural programs, education systems, media transmissions, electromagnetic frequencies being broadcast that would disconnect you to that original spark. But you knew that coming in. You knew that there would be all these challenges. You knew that there would be so many obstacles. You knew that there would be pain. You knew that there would be suffering. You knew that there would also be joy and laughter and orgasmic pleasure, the deliciousness of a ripe piece of fruit, the soft touch of a loving partner, the smell of a rose and its thorns. All these things came with this opportunity that you chose to incarnate as this version of you, this expression, this character that you chose. And you chose this character because this character holds within it deep mutations, powerful genetic mutation that would help you on your journey. You chose this incarnation because it gave you access to specific gifts, specific magical abilities, powers, advantages, talents, whatever you wish to call it. This genetic lineage, this family that you incarnated into, had to choose a line, a fractal, but you chose this one because it offered you certain opportunities that would align with. It was important for you to choose this body this time, including the confusion, the social constructs, the mental patterns, the conditioning from your family, the unresolved traumas, because those too would support you. As Jim Rohn once said, don't pray for things to get easier, pray that you get tougher. All of these challenges were chosen by you, by your creator, to support you in accomplishing your mission, because they would hone you, they would sharpen you, they would force you into overcoming certain obstacles that would require evolutions in strength, that would require you getting in touch with certain gifts. And you might look around to those around you and you might wonder, Why do they have it so much easier than me? Why does it seem to just work so much easier for them? Important to remind yourself that you have no idea the struggles that they've gone through. You don't know the mission that they're on. You don't know their family line. You don't know their challenges. You don't know anything about them other than what you perceive. And what you perceive is inherently filtered through your own programming. So think less about why is it easier or better or whatever for someone else, and ask, why would I have chosen these challenges? What do these challenges afford me? What do these disorders that society calls my tendencies, my neural patterns, my nervous system programming and wiring, how do these support me in my life? How does my mutation help me to be more me? You see, there's a power in the questions that you ask yourself. If you say, what's wrong with me? Then you're instructing your unconscious mind to go and search for information that will prove that you are wrong or there's something wrong with you. It needs to go and seek based on the parameters that you gave it, just as a computer can only search based upon the query that you presented. And so it goes out and it says, well, we need to find data that correlates and corresponds with what's wrong. Wrong, a word that has no inherent meaning, but that has been programmed into you to have some sort of energy to it, a connotation, a definition that means that there's been a failure, there's been a corruption in your programming, in your being. But there's nothing wrong with you. There's no right or wrong, truly. There's supportive and not supportive, and that all depends on the mission that you have, the goals that you're choosing to pursue. So ask better questions. Ask something like, how could these differences, these mutations, these challenges, how are they helping me to overcome, to grow, to evolve? How are they helping me to support the evolution of humanity? How are my differences, how are my struggles supporting me in becoming who I need to be, who I came here to be in order to support this evolution? And you know now, as you're listening to this, you've already known, whether it's been spoken explicitly or you've felt it just inside ever since you were younger, you know that this is a time of great change. You know that this is a time that requires mutation. You've always known that you were different. You've always known that you were special. And yet somehow, even just thinking that or saying that triggers a self-restrictive mechanism, a behavioral pattern that would say, I've always known that I'm different. And I don't mean that to be narcissistic, or I don't mean that to be full of myself. Be full of yourself. The funny thing about why narcissists, or people who are labeled as narcissists, though that term doesn't always get used well, the funny thing is that the reason that so many of these archetypes are in power is because they have confidence. They have the boldness to step in front of other people and say, I am better, I am powerful, I am stronger, I deserve more. Me. And yet you, us, many of us, have this other difficulty where we see the difficulty that is caused in our world, where others have focused too much on themselves, taken too much for themselves, been greedy, hoarded, and pushed others down in order to conserve what they have. And we see that and we feel that pain. Our systems being extra sensitive to the suffering, our systems being extra sensitive to the injustices, and we see the way they act, and so we restrict ourselves, we constrain ourselves, we put ourselves in small little boxes so as not to disrupt others. And yet, that limits us. It takes us further away from our mission. So, what if it was time now to start hyping yourself up, to surround yourself with others who hype you up, to start speaking about what you can do and how good you are, to ask yourself questions like, what is my most magical ability? What is my greatest strength? What is this challenge showing me, and how can this challenge help me to level up and become even more powerful? Because the language written inside of those sentences, inside of those questions, presumes that you are already powerful, that this is simply a step on your path to make you better, to make you stronger. What if the simplest thing that you could do right now is ask better questions? So when you have that old voice in your mind come up and say, what's wrong with me? Stop it. take that old sentence, that question, and delete it. Even say to yourself, I delete that old question. Imagine throwing it into the bin, into the trash receptacle, and say, what am I going to ask instead? What is this moment of difficulty empowering me to do? What is this moment of challenge empowering me and equipping me to do or become? And already there's a different energy, there's a different power. And then listen, because when you ask questions like that, your unconscious mind will provide you with material. It's like a small child sitting in a room with you, and you say, bring me a Lego. They're going to run off and they're going to go search and they're going to find for it, and they're going to come back and they're going to give it to me. And they're going to keep giving it to you until they feel like the mission has been completed. So if you say to that child, bring me something that shows that I'm wrong or that there's something wrong with me, well, that child might be a little confused at first, but it'll go and do, because the unconscious mind, like the child, is open to clear instructions. And so the unconscious mind will give you a reason. Maybe this is why you're wrong. It's because you're a failure, because you haven't made enough money, because you're overweight. And it will give you all these things, but it will give them all to you based on the programming of what your society has labeled and determined to be wrong, because God does not label any of these things wrong. Source creator, the original programmer, does not label any of these things wrong. It simply labels these things as an experiment, a game, so that it can sit back and watch and go, interesting that they would have chosen that direction, but well, let's see what happens. And so when you say, what is this challenge showing me about myself, how good I am, what is this challenge empowering me to do, then that little child, that unconscious mind, will go around and see, empowerment, growth, leveling up, mission, purpose, and it will use these as the filters for which to find the right response. And this will empower you, because instead of having the child come and bring to you a broken toy, instead it brings to you a powerful toy, or a toy that is ready to be polished and repaired into its highest working state and order. It shows opportunity and potential rather than limitation and judgment. So change your questioning. Change your questions and you will get different answers. If you don't like working with artificial intelligence, change the way that you're working with it. Change the questions that you ask. Ask it how you can ask better questions. Study from someone else and learn questions that are empowering. Because the only thing that artificial intelligence program can do is to use the input to go out and find all the data to come back and create an output. As it said, shit in, shit out. Same thing works with your mind. So the next time you find a negative thought pattern coming up where you ask yourself, what's wrong with me, or why do I keep fucking things up? Rephrase the question. Take that question, delete it, throw it in the bin, and then ask, what's a more empowering question? What is this mistake I just made showing me about how I can grow? And then listen, get curious. What images come to your mind? What memories come into your mind? Sensations, colors, images, thoughts, a person's face. Any of these things can be the breadcrumb that takes you to the next and the next until you get a clear understanding, because your unconscious mind has access to all of creation, has access to the universal mind, it has access to all knowledge, all information, all awareness. Just like AI has access to all of the information on the internet, all the textbooks that have been scanned and the documents that it has the ability to read. But if you don't give it the right query, you'll get back junk. So remember, it's your choice how you think. And though you have these automatic patterns, you can choose to change them. I'm in control of my thinking, and I'm in control of my results. And therefore, you are in control of your thinking, and you are in control of your results. So, empower yourself to take control of your thinking. Empower yourself to take control of your thoughts. And remember, practice makes progress. Perfect practice makes perfection. Terrible practice makes terrible outcomes. There's no failure, there's only feedback, there's no mistakes, there's only magic. Until next time. And you go. Yet ungo air itaigata. Waxing geta ungar etaka ungita. It's beautiful ik amba. Hayengu rindangi itsa. Ha ritangi na. Oi kiksitan baka.